and welcome to the Tuesday, February 23rd budget work session of the Stafford County School Board. At this time, I will call us to order and have those in attendance. Dr. Chase, if you'll start us off.
Yep. Sarah Chase, the Falmouth District.
Holly Hazard, Hartwood.
Susan Randall, George Washington.
Elizabeth Warner, Griffiths Whitewater.
Tricia Healy, Rock Hill.
All right, we have a quorum with 5 members in attendance and 2 others I know on their way. There's not been a request to participate electronically. Ms. Hull, is that correct?
Correct.
Correct. So we will not have to do that session. If we can move on to approve our agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve our agenda to talk about our FY22 funding requests. Any modifications or changes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. With this evening, we'll be talking about our FY22 funding request. I believe that Mr. Fulmer has given some documents to each one of us for review, but Dr. Kisner, I don't know if you have any opening remarks or you want to turn it over to Mr. Fulmer.
Quickly just touch base on what I gave you as the handouts. The first is just a hard copy of the resolution, which is attached to the agenda. All these documents are attached to the agenda, but we wanted to provide a hard copy. There is a updated operating budget summary, which is kind of like the executive summary, revenues, expenditures at a high level with some of the highlights. This has been updated for the changes that we discussed in the work sessions, which I'll go over in just a moment. There is also what should look familiar to you, an updated version of our kind of budget summary showing any changes from last year's budget to this year's budget. And it also includes the changes from the superintendent's budget to the current version of your approved budget. And then lastly, there are very high level. We don't have many changes year to year in our other funds, but they are included on the resolution that you approve in total or request that appropriation in total for our other funds. So I wanted to include the backup there. So looking at our changes from the superintendent's budget to the approved budget by the school board, proposed to be approved by the school board. 2 major changes. We added 4.6 social workers, giving us a total of 6.6 social workers in the budget. That was an increase of $344,619. Additionally, we put $2.9 million on top of the $1.4 million that the superintendent requested into the service scale adjustment with the intention of getting our service scale employees up to the midpoint based on years of experience. That brings a total investment of $4.3 million in the school board proposed budget in that service scale enhancement. So it's a total increase from last year's budget to this year's budget of $20.2 million. It's asking for currently $7.5 million an increase in state revenue, $12.3 million in local county revenue, and some other miscellaneous funds of $400,000. The total increase from the superintendent's budget to your school board proposed budget is $3.2 million. So we've worked in the changes of everything we've requested or requested by the school board. I'm willing to take any other questions that you have at this time.
All right, are there any questions? Ms. Healy, start us off.
I don't know the exact amount. I have it, so even if it's, I can jump over and grab it out of my bag real quick. But so last year, I know it was a little under $2 million. I think about 1.8 was our increase, give or take a couple $100,000. And then this year was the increase of 12.3. So we're looking about $14 million increase over the 2-year span.
So last year it was approximately 2 million increase, and we're asking for 12 million this year?
Yeah, I know it was less than 2 million.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So but we're going from less than 2 million to asking for 12 million, 12 point, or I'm sorry, 12.3?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Can I piggyback off on that? And do you know offhand what it was the year before that? And the year before that? I think, I kind of remember it being like 6 million the first year that I was on the board, but I'm not positive.
I can double check. Yep, you're making me go back pretty far now. Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for hitting you with that question tonight. I just wanted to get the comparison between the current request and what the actual was last year.
Yeah.
That's, your answer was close enough.
And to clarify, I was giving you what the final approved amount was,
Right.
not what the school board requested.
Yeah, well,
The school board-
that's what I was asking for,
The,
the final approved amount.
yeah, the requested, I know, was over 10 million by the school board.
So it's fair to say that over the last 5 years, our disbursement from the county has actually decreased over time.
I wouldn't say decreased. In total, it's increased.
As a percentage of our total,
budget, yes.
yes.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Sure.
Yeah, and just to piggyback again off of another person's question, during that period of time, has our enrollment gone up other than this year?
It has gone
Okay.
up.
So the percentage of support has gone down while the number of students have gone up?
Correct.
Thank you.
Ms. Healy?
I'm a little confused by talking about percentage of support because, part of our budget is from the state, a little bit from the federal, part from the county. I'm not sure what did you mean by percentage of support?
So the state provides about 57% of our budget, and the county provides 43%. That percentage that we get from the county, the student enrollment, the student PPE that we get from them has decreased steadily, so that the state's actually supplementing our budget to a greater percentage than the county. Correct?
Correct.
All right. Okay. Thank you. That clear as mud.
Holly? I'm sorry I'm late. I was stuck at the office. Given all the emails that we've had about and social media posts discussing everybody wanting to go back, and this is partially has to do with budget. Have we looked at maybe contracting to fill the void that we're not meeting as far as like bus drivers and stuff go? We talked about this a couple of years ago when we had the same problem with a prior superintendent about contracting out to fill the gap that we had. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious if we've considered that going forward as we try to get everybody back in school.
Yeah, so we actually talked about it since I've been here. And we looked at it, and the honest answer is there are no companies that we could contract with because they're short drivers. And our issue is really to get more children back right now. It's going to be less dependent on the school bus. There's going to be other factors that we're going to, I'll talk briefly on my comments today, but we'll talk more about it on March 2nd.
Okay.
But I forgot in what context we talked about it last year. But Barry did look into this to see if there were private companies that could help us with the bus shortage. And the long answer was, or the short answer was, there wasn't any available.
Okay, thank you.
I would, we've had several comments come to us about what is this budget premised on? Is this premised on today's learning, how we're delivering our model today? Is it premised on hoping to be providing a 5-day a week learning environment? So Dr. Kaiser, feel like I sort of know that, but I think that that's an important concept we can talk about here, but I think we should also address. But I'm going to ask that question in that way to you, or really you or Mr. Fulmer, but sure.
Yeah, so the budget is built for the 21-22 school year with a goal in mind of having us back 5 days a week, a regular schedule, with an understanding that we still will have to offer a virtual option for those families. I really feel like you got to have a goal to work towards. And I know it's middle of February, and maybe in May or June, there'll be some information that suggests otherwise. But for our purposes of staffing, we have some preliminary projections that came out of our planning department that we could see an increase of, and again, these are preliminary and they're doing cohort historic trends. But we see possibly a little bit over 700 more children. Again, more at the lower grades, but every level, high school going up and middle school, nobody's going down. Let's put it this way. But what we've been saying is kindergarten, first grade, we believe there's going to be the greatest uptick. If you look at live birth rates, if you go to the vital health statistics, kids 5 years later who are now going to be in our kindergarten, that's a natural cohort. So our planning is staffing that like school would be pre-COVID, with an understanding that if we have to do virtual for model, we would have the staff for that also.
Dr. Warner, yep.
Thank you, Dr. Kisner. Just a follow-up question on that. Given that we can anticipate that before we get to a point where we have herd immunity and sufficient immunizations, and that we can expect that at least for the next year, we're going to have some population of virtual students in addition to our students in school. And that means that we need extra staff to accommodate that, correct?
Well, there's a couple of things also I just want to mention about the budget. The health mitigation strategies still need to be in place. We're going to have greater conversation about risk versus benefit and look at our current model versus a model that, I know you didn't have a chance to look at it, but I did send you something today from a meeting we had with the Pediatric Association. But the CARES Act, well, the stimulus money, because we have to put a lot of money towards cleaning our buildings, towards substitutes. I mean, there are going to be other issues that would not really be a pre-COVID scenario. So professional development, your increase of social, I met today and yesterday with, and Dr. Humber was with me, with all our psychologists, social workers, and counselors. And that is something that we should be doing, but their urgency to be available has increased because we know I think about it, in 2 weeks, it'll be March 1st. And for a lot of kids, they haven't been in the building for a year. So I really feel like this budget gets us to two places. It gets us, if we could have a pre-K to grade 12, 5-day-a-week normal schedule, and it also allows us to meet the health mitigation strategy, which I would say is part of the virtual instruction for those families that still are not comfortable with their child or children being in school. And it's early, but one thing we are looking at is is there a way to modify the concurrent teaching model where we could have certain teachers that are specific tied to the virtual instruction. And so, there's different models that we're looking at, but for the purposes of staffing and everything else we need to open up a school 5 days a week, normal schedule, this budget will allow us to do it. And last thing, I say the last thing like 10 times. We got to have the greatest talent. We got to have teachers. And your budget is allowing us be at a greater advantage because we're going to honor loyalty, we're going to honor experience, and we're going to try to attract, we are trying right now, but we're going to be much more competitive to attract other teachers from other school systems and from universities, to look at Stafford as the place where they want to start and hopefully finish their career.
All right, are there any other questions about the budget itself or the numbers that were presented by Mr. Fulmer this evening? Yes, Ms. Healy.
Mr. Fulmer, I don't feel like this thing is on, but can you tell us what percentage of the increase that we're asking for would go towards the enhancements for the scales?
Sure, hold on. Ballpark number, and I'm going to give you kind of a total salaries, not just the scale enhancements, because
Sure.
the way we have it presented is it's included with the minimum 5% plus the scale enhancements, is about 75, 80% of our increase.
So about 9+ million.
No, so our increase is 20 million. So if you want total dollars, it's about it's between all the salary increases without the new positions, you're looking at about 17 million almost. Mike,
Excuse me.
you're doing
If you did the
percentage.
teacher scale enhancement, the service scale enhancement, and the service scale second piece, the
Correct.
top three, I got, when I did my math, 83.7% of the 20 million would be that
Of the
number.
increase.
Yeah,
Okay, and that does not include the new positions.
Correct.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, any other questions? All right, well, hearing none, because this is not the body that we do our approval, this will give us a few minutes to pull together before the meeting starts at 7. I thank you all for coming early, we weren't sure, let me see. That's Ms. Young, wait, we're not going to close up. Ms. Young, we want to give you the opportunity to ask any questions, we're sorry.
Try to sign in on my phone.
Mr. Fulmer was just presenting the slide with our additions with the service scale enhancement, the 2.9, and this new positions, which would make our requested ask of $20,203,893. Ms. Healy had just asked what the percentage would be of the scale enhancement, and I'm with my quick math, but others should check it. I had it as 83.7% of our ask would be for that, our teacher and service scale enhancements. And then I think, I know we were pretty comfortable with everything, but I want to give you the chance if anything. Okay. Like I said, we will not be voting in this part of our meeting. We will wait till we get to the second. So with that, I will adjourn our work session, and at 7 o'clock, we will begin again. Thank you all.